But from one country wrecking itself to another, and again, I'm not talking about South Africa, Zimbabwe, Sikanati, is this a case of, I mean, people were prepared to give Mr. Mnangagwa the benefit of the doubt. I mean, this is almost like snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. The place has just blown up.
Well, they were being unnecessarily generous. Remember, Mnangagwa has just another face now. He was Robert Mugabe all along, and he is really the guy that had kept Robert Mugabe in power. So why are they surprised? Of course, he does exactly what the despots do. After reaching for their guns and tear gas, close down the internet and deprive the people the means of communication. So let's wait and see what the last day of the stay away will be.
Yeah, Rob, what implications for us, and how does this look?
Well, I think it's terribly destabilizing for the whole region. But I do think for Zimbabwe, it's completely melted away this notion, this narrative they've been putting out that they're open for business. And Mnangagwa is supposed to be going overseas I think he's going to Davos as well, to sell the message of Zimbabwe being open for business. And this illustrates that it's not open to its own citizens. It's a despotic regime by Robert Mugabe's henchmen. And I think it's stripped away the facade, and you'd be a fool to invest in a country that would just deny its citizens of internet. I mean, we have correspondents in Zim who couldn't tell us what was happening. We had to do telephone narrative interviews afterwards and transcribe what they were saying to us. So it was, this is not how a modern country operates. And to sell a notion that this is a country open for business is an epic lie.
And they were too afraid to venture outside to see what was happening. They didn't have the internet. They couldn't get outside into the streets to see what's happening because, of course, one of our two correspondents there in 2008 was severely beaten up by the security forces during the MDC, when the MDC was really trying to take over. They know exactly how brutal the security forces can be. So everyone was indoors yesterday. No one went to work in Harare. No one went to work in Bulawayo, but no one could communicate.
Edson spoke all the right words last year when he took over from Mugabe. All the right words, perfect words. But this goes to the point, when a country destroys the credibility of its macro policy, its central bank, where no one can actually trust Zimbabwe because of their bad politics. And Edson is still part of the Zanupification of Zimbabwe. So no one can put money in that thing. So as much as he's spoken all the right words, said all the right things, no one has put money into almost secure the new story of Zimbabwe. There's no one has put any investment in there. And hence what's going on now is just tells you a tale of that entire politics, as Sikanati was saying, of ZANU-PF, that needs to go. For Zimbabwe to have any semblance of life. I mean, what's going on now with the switching off internet, you almost can see since Tahrir Square in Egypt and so on, where it was the Facebook revolution, guys have smarted up. Just shut down social media, and then you can kind of have some sense of control of your nation.
Do you think we should get the DRC to organize a real election for them?
Maybe that's the case, but it's just like no one believes the Zimbabwe story. Would you believe the central bank has got no credibility? They have no exchange. Do they have an exchange? Do they have a no currency? How do you? So that's fundamentally, if no one believes your story, the
fact of Zimbabwe is that it's always been a military regime. From 1980 onwards, it's never changed. The fact that they've before that, in fact, absolutely.
Yeah.
No. Cecil John Rhodes, go all the way back. So it's never.
We've got time to go quite that far.
It's never been a normal society. They may have had sham elections regularly, but that's all there was. It has been military men in charge, or mercenaries in the case of Cecil John Rhodes.
I think there was a time after independence which was very hopeful and where the economy really did pick up.
Which was that time? For 2 years?
For 2 years. And even, what was interesting
is that's when it stopped, mid-80s.
But I think what's important is that investors want to see a country like that survive and turn around. I mean, that was what was interesting even about the election, the election victory, was it a year ago? That investors actually at least briefly want to see you succeed. And Zim, amazingly, despite the personality of the leader, actually had the chance to do it and has just completely blown it. And there's a lesson there, Lukhanyo, and I don't want to draw any parallels with South Africa, but we are at this moment getting geared up to go off and tell the World Economic Forum in Davos that we are open for business. You were at a breakfast this morning where President